Good day, Naked Vocalist, episode 6, Chris Johnson here.
Steve Giles here.
It's like a register, isn't it?
Both to yourself.
Both present. So let's carry on, shall we?
Welcome.
Welcome. We're glad to be back. Today's show is packed with info.
What have we got, Christopher?
We have questions on inconsistent voices and the bugbears of it.
Also, what to expect from a lesson.
And how much to practice.
I can't believe all of that is going to be in today's episode.
Also relevant. So that is jam-packed. But first, let's start off with a little bit of news, Steve.
Well, on the agenda today, imagine this. Imagine waking up in the morning and green tea is brought to your bed.
By a yoga mistress. Master. Yeah.
Then you step out of bed and you don't need slippers because it's really warm. That's probably a lie.
No, because it's in the mountains, there's snow.
Right.
Anyway, put your slippers on.
Put your slippers on. Walk to the breakfast bar. But on the way to the breakfast bar, you are diverted to the yoga room to do yoga.
Yeah.
An hour of that. Then some breakfast, probably something really nice.
And healthy.
And then to your first lecture of the day, workshop on riffing.
By some industry amazing expert.
Then on to your one-to-one lesson with, again, an industry expert.
And then on to songwriting with people like James Ingram.
And then you end the day in a social way by singing around a campfire, eating marshmallows from a stick.
Swapping stories of times past.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is probably something like the winter retreat in my mind anyway.
Yeah, but we haven't been, so we can't 100% ratify that. But it certainly looks beautiful. But you can get more information, actually, if you go to our website, thenakedvocalist.com/retreat, and it will take you straight to the page where you can see the pictures of like the mountains and the trees and the scenario that it's in. And I think the schedule is there, so you can see all of the workshop masters, but essentially it's in February on the 21st, I think, in California.
And an event that any singer-songwriter or anybody aspiring to be an artist in the music industry just needs to, if you can, I mean, finance is probably a big one here, but just such an opportunity. So please consider it once in a lifetime if it needs to be.
Yeah, and people from the UK do make it over there. They do make it over there, especially if they're really serious about getting into the industry. So yeah, check that out. It sounds amazing.
We might possibly see you there.
Yeah. Now, Facebook and mailing lists. We just want to talk about that, just because the news from Facebook is that they're gonna change the rules, and whenever you post something on your page, as like we would do for the free content, they won't put that out to as many people in the news feed. So very few people would see, the free content, the free podcasts and all the free tutorials we put out there. So in that case, to bypass that huge problem, when you go to our Facebook page or our website, nakedvocalist.com, or Facebook is /TMV questions, sign up to the mailing list. The mailing list is available as soon as you get to our website, or it's in the tabs at the top of our Facebook page, just called mailing list. And if you join that mailing list, you will not miss a single free piece of content or tutorial or podcast ever again. We won't bombard you. It's only free cool things, yeah?
Free cool things. Just expect to get free cool things.
Yeah, so that's the best way to do it. But let's talk about our exciting experience with Doyle.
Doyle, the wonderful man from Michigan. He got in touch about hydration and his voice and performing, and asked us some questions about that. And we just thought that it would just be the best thing to get in touch with him. And after listening to some of his recordings, we actually got on Skype and worked some stuff with him, didn't we?
Yeah, so, I mean, well, first of all, check out his recording. Here's a song by Maroon 5.
Clouds are shrouding us in moments unforgettable. You twist to fit the mold that I am in. But things just get so crazy, living life gets hard to do. And I would gladly hit the road, get up and go if I knew that someday it would lead me back to you. That someday it would lead me back to you.
So there he is, our friend in the US, rocking out. And he sings in a rock band casually. He designs Mustangs as a job, doesn't he?
I didn't even think that was real.
I know.
Who does that?
Couldn't believe it when he told us. But yeah, so he's in the USA designing Mustangs. So he sings in the rock band on his spare time. And he says he has a great time in that band. But yeah, he often takes a while to get warm, or, you know, some of the songs like that Maroon 5 one really test his range and can sometimes be a pain in the ass. And that was his main bugbear. So what we thought we would do was use Doyle as a kind of an experiment, which he was completely happy with, and an experiment to see how few exercises we can use to get Doyle to experience what he wants. How simple can the approach essentially be to get him in the right spot?
And then measure the success over the course of time.
Yes, absolutely. So we will be hooking up with him again. But the first thing we wanted to do was stabilise his larynx. A larynx that is stable, that is relaxed and remains in the same position in the throat, is one that is easier to deal with. Creates a more steady voice. So we took that approach, and also we wanted to take the approach of getting Doyle more into his head voice, the upper part of his voice, where so many guys and girls tend to sort of avoid.
And again, that just adds onto the stable larynx thing on those pitches. You know, it might be a little bit light and fluffy for him up there at the moment, but what it's telling his body is it's okay to have a stable larynx in that part of his voice.
Yeah, and it reduces strain, tension, and problems with resonance. So that was the approach that we took. And for that approach, we chose two exercises. One was a combination of the sounds wee and whoa for his head voice coming from the top down. So essentially, we were asking Doyle to go wee or woo from the high head voice
and
notes.
even kind of breaking them up into like wee 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 whoa 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 whoa.
Yeah, and then maybe some wee 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 wee, just to spend a bit more time up there. So he'll be working on those for the top part of his voice, and for the notes that are in his bridge, which is something that we've mentioned in previous podcasts, the tricky notes between E and G, which he has to sing in that tune and further. We've chosen the sound 1-1-1. As that sound there is particularly useful at stabilising a larynx and creating some more freedom in the sound, right?
Yes, and in future we will record this stuff, and so everyone can hear the results. And it's pretty tricky to get an idea of exactly what's going on when we're talking about it.
Yeah.
But really, we just swapped out the words on the song that he was singing that originally had a touch of tension on it for the word one, and immediately he was quite surprised in the feeling and sensations he was getting from that.
Yeah, and we will update you with his sounds, but that's in podcast 4, where we've essentially tried or recommended the same approach for sorting songs in that podcast. So you can go back and listen to that if you want some more information as to why that works. But in the 3 sounds that we chose for Doyle, wee, woe, and one, they all begin with wah, as that is such a good choice as a consonant to help stabilise the larynx. So if you feel like you are a bit strained in certain parts of your voice, maybe that's something to try.
Absolutely.
Wee, woe, and one.
Shall we move on to the questions?
Yes. So let's start with question 1.
I'll reel this one off.
Go for it.
Some days I can sing really well, and others I don't seem to be able to sing at the same standard. Why/what causes this? And that's from Luke Raggett.
Luke, shall I begin?
Go for it, man.
Now, holy bejesus, this subject is enormous. It literally, I can't think of a number bigger than a zillion. Is there bigger than that?
I'm not even going to say.
There are so many reasons as to why that could be, but we'll try and sort of narrow it down to a few variables, beginning with, I guess, the body.
Yeah. I think a lot of people really don't consider how much effect health has on the voice directly. Even as direct as singing a high C, how much good health affects it.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, we're not made of steel or iron.
Or other strong substances.
We don't have an on-off switch which allows us to go into singing mode, unfortunately. And so we really need to consider these health aspects. Lack of sleep, dehydration, poor intake of micronutrients.
They are the bits and bobs from food, like vitamins.
Perfect answer. Okay, macronutrients, tell me what they are.
Protein, carbs and fat.
Wow.
Boom.
So we need to, if there's a misbalance in those things as well, honestly, and I know people bang on about diets and losing fat and things, but actually considering what proteins, fats and carbs you take and in what order and how much really will have an effect on your overall well-being.
It optimises your body type. It's
Absolutely.
so different for people.
So different. Everyone's different. And so on the flip side, to take that onto a positive, if we can, as you say, optimise all of these things, such as eating well, sleeping as much as we need to, and just trying to take as many stresses out of our lives as possible, such as getting good sleep as well. Did I say that one?
Well, yeah, getting good sleep is important. People see stress as being freaking out, like mind related. But stress is anything that essentially stimulates stress hormone in the body, which affects singing, and it affects so many things. So that could be physical or mental.
Even as far as, which blows my mind, people think going to the gym is smashing out some weight is really healthy, when actually it's another stress on the body.
It's a big stress.
Yeah.
But it's a stress that the body, with the right recovery, will adapt to and only be stronger as a result of that stress.
As long as there's the recovery. That's
as long as those, that's it, recovery.
So we need to recover, people, and, late nights, food from garages, things like that, which is normally a norm for a lot of singers, just doesn't. It almost promotes
the problems.
That we just talked about. So, if we consider how the body feels in general when things are out of sync, such as like tiredness, achy muscles, losing the will to kind of actually live, and the voice muscles will respond in exactly the same way. Also, to consider the fact that when we are tired and things, we change the way we speak. Things normally get a bit more lower and a bit more laboured.
Yeah.
Like my voice this morning, to be honest.
Yeah. It is. It's interesting because the voice is a window into the soul. From a telephone conversation, you can tell whether someone is upset, you can tell whether they're happy, you can tell whether they're tired. Almost any physical state or mental state, people who are astute to it can really hear that in someone's voice. So that's interesting point you make, that your voice will just express the problems in your body and mind.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you just need to be aware that you might need to approach it in a certain way.
Yeah, all these things will have an effect on the consistency of what you're doing every day there, Luke. So from there, more directly with the voice, have you got anything to say about that?
Yeah, it's kind of linked to what you've said, the stresses and strains, sometimes speaking a lot or singing a lot. Someone in telesales might have a problem with this, a teacher, classroom teacher. Their vocal cords may be in a state anyway from the stresses of their job. And also, they may be in a state of lack of recovery. And when vocal cords aren't recovered and the muscle fibers are just a little bit tired out, they just don't work that well. And singing is a precision activity. It's absolutely precise, and anything can affect that precision. So there's the state of the vocal cords. Also, when you hear changes in the sound of someone's voice to what's normal, that points towards the state of the singer, physically and mentally, but it also hints towards the physical positions of the vocal tract and the elements of that, and that includes the larynx and the vocal cords and the mouth, etc. And there is an optimum positioning for those elements which create the best function. But when one of those is out for whatever reason, it's just important to know how to get it back quickly through choosing exercises. And the best place to start is with the speaking voice, to get that back on track and sounding good. Like you said earlier, if we've had a late gig and the work schedule's been hardcore, you've been up early to teach into a gig again, sometimes I'm talking like this, and that is no good for my singing voice. And I need to remember to use something like the straw exercise that's on our YouTube channel to get my speaking voice back to a vibrant place.
Back to where it works.
Back to where it works. As that's where the best function in the voice will begin. Going on from that, sometimes you might just be more stiff or more tense from the previous day's activities, and so you might need to concentrate more on your warm-up, ensuring that those elements of like stiffness and tension are, or have exercises chosen for them to get you in a good place quickly. The other thing in singing is that you might need to make some adjustments to your tone. And for the geeks, that is called vowel tuning, and that's through positioning of the larynx, of the tongue, the jaw, and the mouth to get you sounding like you do on the good days. And I think that's ultimately the battle, is really it's about knowing how you sound when it's going well. Knowing how that tone, colour, sounds, looks, however you want to say it, the picture of your voice, you just need to know intrinsically what it sounds like, so that you can choose exercises to get you to that spot real quick.
Especially if things are feeling like they're out, or even if you don't know, you may not even know if they're out, but if you've got, like you say, if you've got this kind of home feeling, sensation and sound that you know, all right, that's where I'm supposed to be. If you notice, I've just changed the way in which I'm speaking now.
Yeah, and we've pitched up.
Yeah, exactly that. So it's getting back to that place to create that energy and just get back to where things are going to work out right for your voice.
That's right. It is all about tone. You know, that really points towards so many things. And then, you know, the other half of it, which is what a teacher can help you with, and research, to be fair, is having a bunch of tools available to you that you know will get you into that spot in one way or another. So yeah, being very familiar with your tone, your voice when it's good, and spotting it when it's not there like that, or like that, or breathy or whatever, and then using tools to get you back there. And that way you can create consistency day to day.
Yeah, it's close to. It's never going to be perfect, as we might have mentioned in one of the previous podcasts, but to summarise, Luke, health, optimise it.
Daily,
be the best.
Yeah.
And then consider the exercises that are going to work towards which way your voice sits well.
Yeah, and work with someone to find your optimum sound, your optimum pitch and tone.
Perfect.
Okay, cool. Question 2. Shall I read this one?
Go ahead.
I've always wanted to sing and think I can to some extent, but I want to take lessons to see if I can actually do something, or if I should hang up the chords now. As I haven't taken lessons before, because it's a little daunting, in brackets, I'd love to know what I should expect. So, there we are. What to expect from a lesson.
I mean, for me, immediately, this is a massive depends on the teacher.
Yeah.
But what do you have to say about that?
Expect to be nervous. I mean, I've had a billion lessons in my life. Every time I get the other side of the piano, I get nervous. So I just need to relax.
Even now? Yeah, absolutely.
Take time to... I had one yesterday. I just take time to relax, okay? So you will be nervous a little bit, but that's like everyone. But yeah, it depends on the teacher's style and the training they've had. That will tailor their approach. But from my point of view, it's to work partly on achieving goals through controlled environments like exercises, choosing certain sounds, to get the singer what they want and where they want to be, and then moving as quickly from that as possible onto songs to see if that particular result that you get in the exercise, you can achieve it in a song, on lyrics and melodies, to create a good experience. So that's kind of... and also, you know, if the teacher is good, then all of that advice to get you in that place will be given to you in a way that you can practice at home.
Right.
I think that's key. That can be through a lesson recording or a structured plan of action. And that is more to do with the format of what to expect in a lesson. But really, for me, one of the most important things to expect in a lesson is to screw it up. You can expect, when trying stuff out, solving problems, doing style, that you are definitely going to screw it up on your way to success. And the more open you are to that particular experience of sounding like a douche on occasion, it's totally cool. In fact, it's better that way. You learn more about your craft, and eventually you will hone the difficult areas of your voice because you've gone there without any fear of screwing up.
Face the demon. It's hard.
It is hard.
That, but yeah, you do definitely get the results back from it, don't you?
And people that are not prepared to approach it like that, they're crippled by that fear, they just seem to progress either very slowly or not at all, because that fear will just keep you in your safe zone. But the exciting ride eventually is in the danger spot, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's in the scary bit.
Yeah,
So,
it may not feel like it at the time, but it really is.
Yeah. And you just got to be open to that. So for me, the most important thing to expect in a lesson is to screw up, attempting some of the really cool stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned about practice and guidance and things, and the point is, although we're very much immersed in exercises, and because we know and we've experienced the results you get from it, it doesn't necessarily mean that's what it's going to be. Like, a teacher might give guidance in another way.
Yeah.
And might be walking around the room with a book on your head. That does, that can help some people.
Yeah, posturally.
Exactly. And that may be the thing that takes you to the next level as a singer. So it's worth considering everything. But in terms of the format of the lesson, when you walk in, it's about just accepting the guidance from that teacher, and say it depends on their experience and what they're going to give you. But as a side note, one attitude that I think helps with the nerves thing we talked about and the pressure of a singing lesson is that it's funny. A lot of people, when they're singing lessons, that I speak for myself and probably you, that there's this feeling of I need to impress.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it should be flipped. It's like one of the only things, or one of the number of things that in life where we feel that, and that actually, like if you went to the doctors, for example, you've obviously got something you want to get fixed. It might be like a broken arm or something, and you walk in, and if you just wouldn't walk into the doctors with the same attitude, would you? Like, I've got my arm's broken. Can you fix it? And if the doctor was like, well, you've got it or you haven't, I'm afraid.
Yeah. It's either broken or not.
Yeah.
So deal with it.
Good luck.
But it's funny you say that, actually. It's not like you would walk into the doctors either and go, look how amazing my arm is. You just, that's that whole, you go to the doctors with a problem.
Yeah. Fix it.
You don't, in our country, that is, you don't pay for the doctor.
We indirectly pay for the doctor.
We indirectly pay for the doctor. But you pay good money for singing lessons.
Yeah.
I don't want to go in there and want to impress them as such. I want to impress them maybe that I've actually practiced.
Yeah. But the point is, what do I need to fix my issues as a singer? Like, literally, the mantra you should have when walking into a singing lesson is, I've got some issues. I'm brilliant at some other stuff, but I've got some issues. Tell me how to fix them, and how do I get better at the stuff I'm already doing well? And if you walk out of there and it hasn't happened, something's gone wrong somewhere.
Yes,
to some extent. You know.
Oh, totally. Yeah, and I guess there's some groove to find between the teacher and the student as to how best approach what's not working well, so it remains positive for the student, because some teachers maybe feel a little bit, feel like they might offend someone by saying, you know what, this is not quite right. And so teacher and student need to be able to approach that, or be in the right mindset to approach that in a constructive way, don't they? Yeah,
that's a great point, actually, about the groove as well, and finding between you and the teacher. It's a balance, again, I think it's a balance between these two things. Finding the teacher that works for you at that moment in time, and that may change after a week or a month or 2 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to stick with that teacher the rest of your life.
And do you know what, that's a good point. Sometimes that might be going between working on style and technique.
Right, so many things.
Some people are great at style, but can't help you fix a technical problem.
Yep. But then again, not dismissing someone immediately when you walk into the room just because it didn't work out, or in fact the attitude of the singer was so bad that there was no effort put into it. Oh, and it didn't work out. I couldn't sing the song I wanted to sing. Well, that might have been more down to you than the teacher.
Yeah.
So
some goals are unachievable within an hour. Yeah, an hour is very short, but some people expect a lot, or expect the impossible. Not that it's impossible over time, but might be impossible within an hour.
I think it's turned into a rant, but I'm going to continue it. X Factor.
Oh, blimey.
I've got an X Factor audition, in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, and I need to sing Man in the Mirror.
I've never had a singing lesson in my life. Let's go.
Yeah.
Wow.
And if they don't get through, you're rubbish teacher.
It's a tricky one, that one.
It is a tricky one.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I don't even know. Did that answer the question?
No, but it does come around to what should I expect? Expect what's possible, not what's impossible. Is that another expectation that maybe should be addressed?
Yeah.
Totally. But yeah, finding the groove of the teacher and being open to some criticism that's constructive.
Yep.
Isn't it? Like, like you wouldn't get offended if the doctor said you had a broken arm.
Because of fact.
Your arm's broken. Oh.
Yeah.
That's my inner self you're offending.
You can't sing a high C sharp.
Yeah, you can't sing a high C sharp.
I'm not sure that's maybe a bit more tactful.
Yeah.
But, exactly that. Yeah, but why not? It's like, my C sharp isn't as good as my G, so let's fix it.
Yeah, and we can't... It's not really that... If you're brilliant at stuff, you might sing something, it's like, perfect, move on. You're brilliant at that, let's do stuff you're not brilliant at. Don't get offended. It's cool. Yeah, and you will get the most out of your singing lessons if you expect to go in with some problem-solving sort of issues.
Off the back of that, maybe just prepare a song as well. Just get a song ready as well. That'll probably...
Yeah, that is really important, by the way. Because I can do a teaching bugbear here.
Go for it.
What songs do you know? I don't know any. Did you ever get that?
Yeah.
You're in a singing lesson. Did you put this in your diary? Did we spring this on you? I thought you booked it.
Turn up at the doctor's. What's wrong? Nothing.
What's wrong? Don't know. I might have something wrong with my arse, but I don't know. Can you check? No, fine. Okay, see you later.
I mean, we could kind of fluff around a little bit, see if we can find something, but if you can give me some direction.
So yes, pick a song that you know. The other thing is they say, oh, I don't mind, you pick one. Then you pick one and they don't know it, and that goes round and round. Don't do that.
There are a lot of songs out there.
There are a lot of songs, so you pick one that you find tricky that you can work on. And that's the best way. You might walk out of that lesson singing a song you could never sing before. Boom. How happy would you be? Be amazing. So that is singing lessons.
We've missed the name off. I don't even know who this is. Sorry for the rant, whoever you are. But we hope that answers the question somehow. Yeah. Okay, so last question. This is going quick today. This is good. Question 3. I have lessons from time to time, another lesson one, which are great, but I just don't know how much I should be practicing between lessons. I'd love your wisdom on this, lads. Adam Phillips.
Wisdom.
Wisdom.
Good word, Adam.
What does that mean? Does wisdom mean that we are...
God-like? Is it God, demigod type things, aren't we? Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
So here's my wisdom. Practice is key to success. There was a conversation on a Facebook page the other day, some singing Facebook page about this, and it had some interesting points. But how much practice really depends. From one of the basic issues is like muscular problems. Someone who's very tense might pull chest, if you know what that means. Or someone who has a very light or no chest voice, that often points towards faulty muscular patterns or inactive muscles. And when that's the case, repeating exercises frequently that solve that are key to creating that coordination pattern and activating the right muscles. So in that case, little and often is really, really good. So that might be, someone might do that every day.
Yeah.
Sometimes twice a day. If they really want to get there quickly, there's no harm in creating that sort of environment.
If it's right for them.
Yeah, if they are trying to solve something that's muscular.
Yeah.
Certainly. But going on from that, as coordination becomes more instilled and actually the right muscles are engaging when you sing, then most of the practice goes into the song environment. And again, that how much you sing songs depends on how much you need to sing songs. If you're a professional, you might have to practice those songs a lot. If they're not coming out quite as well as you'd like them, you might need to spend a bit more time finding the right spot. But if you're just doing it for fun, blimey, you don't need to be doing it a hell of a lot. So that's the depends on that front. But I literally practice every time I go to the toilet. Because it sounds amazing in there, doesn't it?
Does it?
Does it irritate you that I do that?
100%.
People at the studio, River Studios, people film the closed door with my voice coming behind it. Just because I do it all the time. Even when the waiting room's full, as soon as I go in that toilet, it's practice time, babes. Let's get that B going.
I don't film it.
Don't you?
No.
You've had to hold yourself back, haven't you?
Definitely not. I'm out the door, if anything.
You know, practice is wherever you want to do it. And with style and improv, like experimenting and practicing constantly, even walking down the street, is how the best people get good at it. You know, the best singers, you can never shut them up. Because they are singing all the time. They get to know their voice so well. So
That's quite a review for yourself there.
I haven't called myself the best singer.
Well, you can never shut you up. So
You can't shut me up. Thanks for that. I'm the best singer. You can never shut me up.
That's what you should have said.
Is it really?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. But you can practice too much, can't you?
You can.
Like if you have problems in your voice that are a little harder to solve, more stubborn, sometimes excessively practicing can create quite a lot of problems.
It's just that practice makes permanent line that I like. It's not practice makes perfect. The thing is, if it is going wrong, if things are tight and you're ingraining that in, then you're just going to keep on ingraining it in.
Yeah, if you're practicing the slightly wrong thing, it's going to compound.
And so that needs to be considered. Things need to be comfortable all the time, and if they're not, then address that. But in terms of actual time here, Adam, it's really hard to answer because, as Chris said, it just depends on so many things. I stuck a quote up on my teaching wall the other day, which was, I am limited by my vision of what is possible.
Is that Steve Giles Online?
Steve Giles Online.
So I'll do the plug for you. It's
Thank
fine.
you.
Yeah. Well, I expect that back at some point in episode 7. Sorry, carry on.
Facebook.com/Steve Giles Online.
All right, mate.
Thing is, that quote it's a lot of words, actually. And when you read it back, it almost doesn't make sense. But for me, it's like, you know, just because it's what somebody else does or what singers do doesn't mean it's necessarily right. 10-15 minutes a day is like a general rule. But does that mean it's right for you in this world, in your life? If you want to be the best singer ever, and the best that you can be anyway, maybe it's 5 hours a day that it takes to get there. And if that's your goal, then that's what you're going to have to do it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that. I mean, actually, 7 minutes might be the optimal time for you to practice whatever it is you want to do, whatever the goal is. Like, to get there, you might have to practice seven minutes a day, and that might be optimal for you. But whatever it is, it's finding that, and that's the hardest thing, I think, in life, is actually figuring out what works best for you.
Yeah.
And it might be 4 hours, might be 7 minutes.
Well, what's natural as well? You imagine in the process of knocking barriers down in your voice, the amount of time you practice something generally goes down to almost now. In some cases, because you've nailed it. You know? You've done it, you understand it, you know how to get it straight away. And so you don't need to practice it. Something like the speaking voice would be a good example of that. You know, once you know where it is, you can just make sure it's there all the time. Don't need to practice it. But as soon as within a lesson environment or anything, you approach a brand new subject, practice time goes up again. You know, you go from technique to style. If you're really great with your technique and suddenly you learn all these stylistic things, it's like, blimey, I'm going to have to start practicing again more. So yeah, like you say, who you are, what you're doing, what you're approaching next really changes for everybody, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the best singers in the world, I mean, some of the opera singers could be described as that, couldn't they?
Yes.
And blimey, they are so accurate, I don't think you can get to that accuracy without spending hours a day.
It's interesting you say there about you get to a point where there may not be, and it may 3 hours a day for 10 years, is that what it is?
Oh, what, to get 10,000 hours of practice?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, they say, for anyone's not familiar with the quote, 10,000 hours of practice is where people are considered to be a master at what they've done. And that's purposeful practice. Like, you've sat down and you've put time aside to practice. And yeah, broken down, I can't remember what it is. Is it like an hour and a half per day?
I thought it was 3 hours a day.
It might be 3 hours a day for 10 years.
Yeah, that's right.
That sounds like a long time, doesn't it?
But if that's what it takes, if that's what you want to get to in life, then if that's your goal, then
yeah, I definitely spend 3 hours in the toilet every day. I think I'm definitely a master. I've been doing that for 32 years.
You're a master.
32 years.
You need to go to the doctors or something.
I'm really good at going to the toilet.
That's not good.
Clearly, that's what it is. I'm a master at being in the lavatory.
I wonder if there's was it the law of diminishing returns?
Oh, go on then.
Well, just
Are you slagging me off again?
No, I'm not talking about your toilet habit.
Are you trying to make me sound like a narcissistic goon again?
Just I don't need to try. Thing is, I just wonder whether, I mean, maybe that's a study to be done one day, whether it has or not already, I'm not sure, but if there's just too much that can be done, and then after that it just starts to reverse a little bit. Who knows?
Well,
I don't know.
With tiredness in the voice,
Yeah.
oh man, that's so true. You could easily dip your toe into the problem area with every practice session. I've known people to get nodules from practicing. They've had, say, within 5 months, they might have had 2 or 3 gigs, but they've ended up with nodules, which points towards, maybe excessive practice, but excessive practice maybe with a functional issue or crack or imbalance that has ultimately resulted in something that usually professional singers with a heavy schedule get. So that's an example I can think of where practicing becomes too much. So you've got to monitor how good you feel and how well you're singing, but providing you're doing everything really well every time you practice, you'll just improve more.
So I hope that helps, Adam. I mean, the answer really is it depends, but 10 to 15 minutes a day probably will work.
All right.
Is a summary?
That could be a short podcast, couldn't it? We should just shorten them to 10 minutes next time.
So that's the questions. That's the questions done.
I hope that's good. And there's some great subjects. I mean, they are so wide. I had a lot less pinned down for those questions than we actually said. Because it just, until you start talking about it, you just don't realise how far that can open up.
It really does, yeah.
Absolutely insane.
I just really hope that there can be some sense gained from the points that we made there, because there are some rants. So there you go.
Yes, that's it. So we've that's our questions. We've got our YouTube segment.
Yeah, and this comes from a lot of people asking about something in particular, which is actually riffing, running, melismas, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, scats, whatever.
Improv. These videos are just so great for that, because what they do, they outline how easy it is. It does require time, but how actually straightforward it is, because there's so many people that say to me, I cannot riff. I just can't do it. It's something that other people do. It's not something that I do. I'm this kind of like classical singer.
Yeah.
But actually, it's just another process you just need to go through in order to address it, attack it, you know. And these videos are on YouTube, as we say, and they're from a lady called Natalie Weiss.
Should we spell that?
Go for it.
Natalie. That's Natalie. And Weiss is Weiss.
It's a series called Breaking Down the Riffs, and I know you mentioned that you use number 3 a lot.
Episode 3 is the coolest one, yeah.
Yeah, it's the one I pick out as well. So here it is, just for a little snippet.
Okay, here we go. Da da da, 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 to love. Great. Okay, now a little faster. To love. To love. Great. A little more of like a da da da. To love. To love. Great. She even added her own flavor there. Amazing.
There you have it. She is so quick. Bless her student for being composed. Blimey.
I've got a feeling she's done that before.
Yeah, that's putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
Can edit that bit, but the great thing about Natalie is, like a lot of people who might consider themselves not to be in the right genre for this, Natalie is a musical theatre singer, and a really talented one as well. She tours with the US show of Les Mis, so she sings soprano 1. She sings really classically trained, balanced stuff.
Beautiful voice.
Beautiful, but she can turn her hand to the nimbleness of riffing, and that's something that she would have had to purposely choose to do. She would have taken that angle as well as the classical stuff. So I just think she's an amazing role model for someone who's taking on different stuff.
And I think that really comes down to the freedom in her voice and how You can hear it in there, can't you? She's able to just run all over the place because she just has very, very few barriers, it seems, with her voice.
And a little while back I actually tweeted her and we had a short conversation on email just about how she practices, and she literally practices day and night. She's a massive advocate for it. And
I'm sure.
Oh, she's such a talent. And she does a song, doesn't she, with Scott Allen called The Distance You Have Come. If you YouTube Scott Allen, The Distance You Have Come as well, you can hear her voice in action. That song is rocking.
A great song. I love the choir on that as well.
Yeah.
So that'll be in the show notes anyway.
Yeah, go to that.
To take a look at. But
and that is the nakedvocalist.com/6. Number 6. Just type in the number 6. But related to that, actually, in January we have some amazing guests on the show. One of them is Josh Alamu, who is the king of riffs. He is amazing at riffs and runs, and he will be on our show giving us some guidance, and you guys some guidance, on how to approach beginning to get riffs and runs into your vocal repertoire, which will be quite awesome. And then in January we also have Lynn Hilton, who is coming from the angle of being a vocal athlete. And she has got an amazing past. She used to be a nurse on film sets. She worked on Shaun of the Dead as a nurse. And so she's a very experienced singing teacher. Yeah. She was a jazz vocalist. She lived in New York, London, and Australia. She's done a lot of stuff. And she's so cool. So she's got to talk to us about that and other stuff.
And we're very fortunate to have those guys in our circle and actually to have them on the podcast. So honestly, you do not want to miss those episodes. I think that's it really for today.
That's it. So if you'd like to keep in touch with us, obviously you can email us at tnvquestions@gmail.com or...
Pinterest and Twitter are both at TNV Questions.
Yep. Facebook is /TNV Questions. Like we said, the YouTube channel, the Naked Vocalist TV. But as we said before, please get yourself to the Facebook page or our website and register for the mailing list, because next year not only podcasts are coming out that are free, but a whole bunch of other great stuff that you guys can take away for free to work on your voices and anything.
As always, we would love a review on iTunes.
Please, if you go to the nakedvocalist.com/podcast, it will take you straight to the iTunes page. Just click on the 5-star bit. And please leave us a review, as that helps us to be found.
Yeah, aside from making us look really cool, it gets iTunes...
Cooler. I'd like to think we're cool already, so we're cooler.
Much cooler.
A little bit cooler.
Really
not
cool.
Not much left, though, is there? We're pretty much at the top.
Aside from that, iTunes will also, dish this stuff out on the front page and stuff, which obviously makes it easier for people to find. And if somebody's on their phone... I've got an audition next week and I don't know what to do, my voice is screwed, I need some help, and they put in singing into their iTunes search, the likelihood is we'll be found and we'll come to the rescue.
Like Iron Man.
There
we go.
As Iron Man.
With Iron Man.
Right, there you have it, episode 6 done.
Bish bash bosh, we'll see you in 2 weeks.